government handled the sales of tobacco until 1986. However, in 1986, foreign government pressured to open the tobacco market. After the opening the market, government lost the right of monopolizing tobacco. This caused the establishment of KT&G, which sells ginseng and tobacco. In 1996, IMF crisis happened and WTO ordered Korean government to reduce the regulation of foreign cigarettes, and several foreign companies such as Feeling Wars International entered the Korean market. Entering foreign strong tobacco corporation made the oligopoly. Also, KT&G lost the right of monopolizing ginseng. Then government privatized the KT&G. It earned large profit by taking advantage of stable industry and large market share. But nowadays, as ETC and WHO declares many regulations about tobacco, so global demands start to decrease. By the way, KT&G consists of several subsidiary companies such as KG Ginseng, medical corporations, and cosmetics. The big questions that we wanted to answer during this consultation was, is KT&G's business sustainable? Our analysis was aimed at identifying and maximizing opportunities by tying in analysis and potential plans together. For both initial market research and new plans to improve sustainability of KT&G, both quantitative and qualitative analysis was used. We used the discount cash flows valuation method to estimate KT&G's value. More specifically, free cash flow to equity, FCFE, was used as valuing method. Nowadays, tobacco industry is stable, but its global demand decreases. Also in Korea, price is newly regulated in 2015. This high price lowered KT&G's consumer demand. Although sales increased by higher margin, growth is in negative state by regulating price. And stable industry, oligopoly, and debt equity ratio made growth stable. Therefore, one-stage growth model is adequate for valuation model. After the election of Moon president, there was a pledge that considers demand. So, during valuation, pledge was also reflected in initial value. The result of our calculation that KT&G is currently overvalued. The initial value was 81,810 won, while the price in the market is 111,000 won. This fact shows us that KT&G is in unfavorable situation. So, KT&G should make intense efforts to increase its value to meet the price. Now, next presenter will explain about our strategies.
To come up with the potential strategies, the first step would be to find out the current situation. And it can be divided largely into two different parts, the external and the internal analysis. First of all, the internal analysis consists of strengths and weaknesses of KT&G. First of all, its power comes largely from its power to align the marketing and the operation channels. And it has developed this system through the long experience of being in the tobacco industry. Secondly, the brand managing system along with the product quality real name system gives KT&G the power to assure the premium quality for all of its consumers. And hence, this strong quality management system lies at the core competency of KT&G. On the other hand, the weakness of the corporation consists mainly of the fact that it invests largely into exploitation rather than exploration. And we found out that this is largely because of the conservative management system that is hesitant to make investments into projects that may not have a positive cash flow. However, this has also influenced other diversification of other strategies, such as the cosmetic industry that it diversified into on a different note. And another weakness that threatens KT&G is the fact that it uses domestically grown tobacco leaves. And this creates an unfavorable cost structure in comparison to the foreign competitors that KT&G competes against. On the other hand, the external factors consist of the opportunities and the threats. The biggest opportunity is the fact that tobacco or cigarettes are a commodity that people are going to continue to purchase. They know that it is unhealthy. However, the fact that it's addictive and the fact that it relieves a lot of these people's stress make sure that they are going to be purchasing the product. And that it also is opening up a market for an alternative tobacco product as a lot of the competitors are developing. And this leads on to the threat. A lot of the competitors such as Philip Morris and JTI and BAT are coming up with alternative products that go against that tries to work with the regulations that are currently increasing around the world. They have come up with a healthier version of the tobacco that reduces the negative health impacts. Another threat that lies for KT&G is the reducing trend of tariffs. They have always had the cost structure benefit of being a domestic producer. However, this is going to end very soon until in 2022 when the tariff approaches zero. And through the combination of these SWOT analysis, we have come up with 5 different options. But the main are the 3 that is lying on the top of the screen at the moment. The first option would be to utilize its effective and precise market research ability to overcome the regulation of capsule cigarettes and finding an alternative way to produce something similar to that. And the second option would be to combat the consumer's negative perception of tobacco by making sure that its CSV actions emphasize the idea of sincerity. And the third option would be to grow its market share in the international market, mainly by increasing its purchasing of competitively advantaged internationally grown tobacco leaves and replacing it with the high-priced domestically grown tobacco leaves. And the first option and the third option will be explained mainly through our operations and marketing part of this presentation. However, I'd like to move on to the sustainability and the CSR portion of the presentation. Currently, KT&G has dedicates a lot of its activities to make sure that it's creating a shared value for the community. And they do so by making sure that the minorities in the society are receiving the kinds of needs that they need. However, the biggest problem is the reputation of black CSR. And this, in other words, is where the company is deemed to use the idea of corporate social responsibility for its own good, for increasing its brand exposure to its potential customers. That is why we suggest that KT&G should create this loop of sustainability and creating shared value by implementing sincerity into its production system. An example of this could be coming up with an alternative to tobacco products that reduces a negative externality, such as health defects and the health costs that incurs along with the consumption of tobacco. The next speaker will talk about the alternative marketing plan.
The first marketing strategy is about developing new product. Due to the expected regulation about the capsule cigarette, we propose an alternate product, the Bird. It is a new rhino resin which contains green tea ingredient and flavor. The word Bird has the meaning of green tea and green in French word. It represents both the main ingredient of green tea and the color green, which symbolizes the unconstrained and lively trends. The main aim is to satisfy the same need of current capsule cigarette smokers and to resolve the problems on health of capsule cigarettes. The marketing strategy and plans are like this. Product. The Bird has first, mild and fresh taste with great flavor. Second, super slim design. Third, 1 to 4 milligram tart content. Fourth, unique design to allow consumers to choose in accordance with their preference and personalities. And lastly, a green tea filter added in the middle of the cigarette. It provides a similar smoking experience as those of capsule cigarette and generates additional filtering processes. The filter will be marked with the green color so that the consumers can recognize and feel that they are smoking a healthier cigarette. Price. The price of the Bird will be 4,500 won for a pack. Place. Due to many regulations, the original display channel will be used, such as food strategy and liquid distribution. Promotion. The main purpose of the promotion is to ingrain the attitude of young and unique and stylish green tea for the consumers. First is PPL. Through PPL in movies, unique design of the bird will be exclusive and encourage curiosity for consumers. Second, mass market advertising. The bird will be on magazines such as Maximum GQ, which targets male in their 20s. Third, advertisement on CVS. In-complex stimuli like this will be used to encourage consumers to be curious about the characteristics of the bird and to remember it for a longer time. Next is about the branding strategies. Success in the market using brand extension strategy will be defined based on two large components. One, the degree of the fit between existing product brand and the new product. Second, the factors related to marketing. The fit between the principal brand and the sub-brand can be assessed on two different levels, product and brand. Through the testing of the fit, we can see that Alpha, Cafe Hapunapun, have the required brand and functional fit to be good. The next stage, first is about community. The main factor that influences the demand of skincare products is the reputation, not the resources. However, reputation of Jeongganja is limited to only professionalism in good resources, the ginseng, not in the specialty of cosmetics. Third and second is about GDP. Buyers may believe that there are different types of expertise required to make dog food. Finally, good base. Good base sells products other than red ginseng. This means that their sales will not be totally dependent on the reputation of expertise in ginseng. Thus, using Jeongganja will have minimal impact on making the brand more appealing to customers. In conclusion, using Jeongganja, they will not have guaranteed or improvement the situation for the brand in the long run. Next speaker will talk about the operation part.
Now, when we think about the factors of demand for cigarettes, intuitively there are price, income, and stress. Here, price and income should go together in relative terms. Stress has no need to explain its significance to the demand. The problem of intangibility of stress can be solved with the deviation between average working hour per week in South Korea and OECD countries. The longer people work, the more they get stressed, then they will smoke more. In addition to these factors, the amount of cigarette has specific seasonal attributes. In the first and third quarters, the demand reaches the lowest and the highest with no exception every year. The equation on the screen is the estimated model on domestic cigarette demand. With this model, it is expected to have 2.468 billion packs in 2017. Multiplying expected market share deducts estimated demand for KT&G, which is 1.461 billion packs in 2017. Next, the price regulation will have different effects on supply chain members in the long run. Since the demand will decrease in accordance with projected demand, KT&G and farmers will suffer a loss. However, competitors, especially Philip Morris, will get benefit. In 2022, the tariff on American cigarettes will be abolished by the Korea-US trade agreement, which is definite incentive to reduce price and take over KT&G's market share. For the last, it seems that the growth rate of KT&G business is below zero. Therefore, our team suggests two options in operational management. First, KT&G should stop using domestically cultivated tobacco leaves as soon as possible. This is generating 40 billion won of loss per year. Second, KT&G should fully utilize its distribution channel capacity. KT&G is exploiting its channels well in regard to tobacco business. However, its sub-brand Jeongganja is not using this strength at all. Therefore, we suggest to sell its current best-selling item, ginseng, every time in convenience stores where KT&G is now supplying cigarettes. There will be no extra transportation cost within its channels. The final goal is to remove 30% of existing retail stores of Jeongganja. This will reduce 180 billion won cost per year. And next speaker will talk about the financial part.
So, let's first consider the effects of operation strategy parts. The government tends to decrease the labor hour to OECD's average level, which is 1,800 hours per year. This affects our regression model factor, thus the quantity demanded of tobacco decreases. We expect this policy to take place at a probability of 25%, which is the number based on the past president's practice rate. We get 81,000 won as our target price using our valuation model. By substituting Korean tobacco leaves to overseas leaves, KT&G expects to save 220 billion in annual profits by adding 171 billion won annually, considering the 22% of tax rate. This will affect cash flow and increase our target price to 122,000 won. Then we will move to our new product valuation. New product will increase KT&G's sales, thus cash flow. 17 billion won of sales will be generated, and the new target price according to our valuation is 110,000 won, which is similar to the market currently. Inventing new products will not influence the growth, but cash flow. We have shown the whole calculation processes and assumptions for inventing green tea cigarettes, so please check our appendix. So this is our conclusion. Corporate governance of the KT&G is strong. KT&G has a lot of cash available and dividend is stable. There's little fluctuation in D/E ratio and constituents of shareholders is well distributed. Incorporating our marketing, green tea cigarette, and operation supply chain improvement suggestions, target price will increase to 110,000 won or 122,000 won respectively. However, currently the market doesn't seem to perceive the new government's policy plan or global cigarette market's decrease in demand as a big threat. Therefore, if KT&G does not take any action to increase firm value, we recommend you to sell KT&G stocks right away. KT&G needs to take some action to overcome current status of inertia. If KT&G does not prepare in advance, this will lead to an unfavorable situation and sustainability of KT&G will be lost. Integrating different area of studies, we could get an insight how to approach and solve the problem. And we are sure that our integrated solutions of operations, strategies, marketing and finance will add value to KT&G by increasing mainly the cash flow or decreasing the cost structure. Thank you.